The shooting death of a 17-year-old driver is now in the hands of state police. I'm Craig O'Neill, and that is our top story tonight. Overnight, a Lonoke County deputy shot and killed the teen along Highway 89. THV 11's Jordan Howington has been at that scene today and is now back at the sheriff's office with the very latest. Jordan?
Hey, good evening, Craig. Yeah, a family is left absolutely heartbroken tonight after that Lonoke County deputy shot and killed this 17-year-old around 3 o'clock this morning. The family says that he was out working on his truck, getting ready to go to work about 6 a.m. this morning, and unfortunately that traffic stop ended in gunfire.
Heartbroken. I'm heartbroken. I love that boy.
Becky Brittain is left with questions after a Lonoke County deputy shot and killed her 17-year-old grandson, Hunter Brittain, early Wednesday morning.
We want the truth.
The deputy pulled him over along Highway 89 near Cabot after the family says he had taken his truck for a test drive after working on the transmission at a nearby body shop.
Hard-working kid, willing to spend all night working on that thing to make sure that he got to work this morning. Well, he didn't make it.
Arkansas State Police is investigating. They did not release why the teen was pulled over. They did say detectives are working to determine what led up to the shooting. Meanwhile, Lonoke County Sheriff John Staley is expressing his thoughts.
My condolences go out to the family. You know, my prayers are for not only the family but the law enforcement officers because this is hard. This is tough.
Sheriff Staley says a deputy had access to a body cam. However, it's not confirmed if it was recording or not at the time of the incident. Family is just seeking closure and wants a fair investigation.
I just miss him so much already, and I just don't know how I'm going to get through this.
Now, we have since learned that the deputy involved began their career as a jailer in 2012. He became a certified deputy in 2013, and that deputy has since been placed on paid administrative leave until this investigation is final. Once ASP finishes their investigation, they'll send it to the prosecutor's office, and they will decide if deadly force was necessary in this case.
The Lonoke County Sheriff has issued a statement following the death of 17-year-old Hunter Brittain, who was shot and killed by a deputy during a traffic stop early yesterday morning. Sheriff John Staley says he wants to know exactly what led to that shooting, but also wants transparency and accountability. That's why he's asked the Arkansas State Police to handle the investigation.
State police are gathering the facts. They know much more than I do. We immediately gave them body camera footage because we aren't handling the investigation. We don't know how much of the incident was captured by the camera. As sheriff, I'm committed to transparency. That's why I will support the public release of body camera footage when the law and state police investigation allow.
Sheriff Staley urged people to wait for all the facts before rushing to judgment. He also promised that any deputies who violate the law or his policies will be held accountable.
It's been really rough. This is getting heavier every day.
The Brittain family pleads for answers as they're preparing funeral plans for Hunter Brittain, the 17-year-old shot and killed by Lonoke County Deputy Michael Davis in the early morning hours of June 23rd.
Hunter didn't deserve to be killed. He didn't deserve to be shot.
For 6 days, family and friends have protested outside the Lonoke County Sheriff's Department seeking justice for the teen they say was a hard worker who was working on his truck when he was pulled over by Deputy Davis. As protests continue, they seek further justice.
We're going to get to the bottom of it.
Hunter's family has started a petition with more than 2,400 signatures so far, hoping to get legislatures' attention to create Hunter's Law, which in the petition says would mandate all officers in Arkansas to wear a body cam and require them to be activated for the entire shift.
We've had a lot of help from the community members because there's a lot of people that sees this as wrongdoing.
The Arkansas State Police says the investigation remains open, and the Lonoke County Sheriff's Office did hand off body cam footage to the state police. However, the Brittain family feels they have been denied this transparency. According to Sheriff John Staley, it's unclear when the camera was activated and if the incident was recorded or not. Arkansas State Police will not release that information until its investigation is complete.
It's a waiting game to see what the prosecutor comes up with. It's not going down like this.
Body cams are a good thing. because they increase transparency between the police agency and the public.
But for Hunter Brittain's family, they feel this transparency has been denied after the teen was shot and killed by a Lonoke County deputy last week during a traffic stop. We know the Lonoke County Sheriff's Office handed over body cam footage. However, we don't know what parts of the incident were captured.
I can understand why they may be doing some further investigation with regard to a video. However, I do find it quite odd that they're not at least acknowledging that a video of the incident exists.
Patrick Benka has practiced criminal defense for more than 20 years. He is on the side that believes the Brittain family should have already seen what happened to Hunter.
There has been shooting incidents here in Arkansas where the tape was released in short order. And in those cases, the officers at least had a defense.
UA Little Rock criminal justice professor Jim Golden has researched the use of body cams. He says releasing that evidence too early could jeopardize the investigation.
That video footage shows one view. You know, there's just a whole lot more questions that have to be answered.
While Golden suggests Hunter Brittain's family be patient and let the investigation play out, Benka sees a lack of consistent transparency within agencies across Arkansas when it comes down to releasing body cam footage.
It won't hinder an investigation. It will cause problems for the agency if the tape recording reveals something, one, that the officer that's untrue, or corroborates the family's version and I guess the friend in the car's version that he was carrying a bottle of oil.
Calls for justice continue in Lonoke County for a teenager shot and killed by a sheriff's deputy 1 week ago today. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Marlisa Goldsmith.
And I'm Craig O'Neill. Hunter Brittain's death has gained national attention, and now his family is getting some well-known legal representation.
THV11's Ashley Godwin brings us the latest from Lonoke County.
It's been a week and people are still gathered outside of the Lonoke County Sheriff's Office to mourn Hunter, but the family says they have plans and the funeral coming up.
Justice for Hunter!
Change is coming, that's right.
Yeah. And it's not just justice for us, it's justice for everybody.
Everybody.
17-year-old Hunter Brittain was shot and killed by Lonoke County Sheriff's Deputy Michael Davis last week. Hunter's family is preparing to lay him to rest, and they're also getting ready for the legal battle to come. The family has hired Devin Jacob and Benjamin Crump to represent them. Both were lawyers in George Floyd's murder case.
We've seen what they've done on TV. We know that they can handle the business that needs to be taken care of here.
Arkansas State Police are in charge of the investigation after it was handed over from the Lonoke County Sheriff's Office. The body camera footage went with it, and the family says they still don't know if the camera was turned on.
We haven't got any answers.
The family knows the process ahead of them is long, but they say they're hopeful Hunter's death will create change.
One life is too many.
Yep.
I mean, it shouldn't have had to happen. But it happened for a reason, and we're going to show what that reason was.
Do our best to change the world and how these officers conduct themselves.
The sheriff's deputy who shot and killed the teenager last week in Lonoke County has been fired.
THV11's Jordan Howington has been following this case closely. And Jordan, this all comes down to the deputy's body camera.
Yeah, Marlisa, Lonoke County Sheriff John Staley says he fired Sergeant Mike Davis because he failed to turn his body camera on when he encountered Hunter Brittain on the side of the road last week. And the department does not have dash cams. Now, Davis shot and killed the 17-year-old 1 week ago today, and calls to release the body cam footage of the incident have been growing. But according to the sheriff, Davis only activated his body camera after the shooting happened, so there's no footage of the actual incident. Sheriff Staley says that's against department policy.
Our policy says the deputy must activate the camera before encountering any member of the public while taking official action, and certainly as part of any traffic stop.
The case is still in the hands of the Arkansas State Police and the Lonoke County prosecutor. Meanwhile, the Brittain family has retained two prominent civil rights attorneys, Benjamin Crump and Devin Jacob, who also represented George Floyd's family.
Family, friends, and national figures gathered in Beebe today to remember Hunter Brittain.
It comes 2 weeks after the 17-year-old died after being shot by a Lonoke County Sheriff's deputy. There are still open questions about what happened, partly because Sergeant Michael Davis didn't have his body-worn camera turned on.
Sheriff John Staley fired him on Friday, saying it's against department rules to leave the body camera off when encountering a member of the public. Arkansas State Police is now investigating. THV 11 is bringing you team coverage tonight. Ian Russell is live from the sheriff's office with how people are reacting.
And then we'll hear from Jordan Howington. She's live at the Beebe Schools auditorium where Brittain would have attended classes this fall, but instead today held his funeral. Ian, we start with you.
Hey, Rolly and Marlisa. Yeah, right now we're out at the Lonoke County Sheriff's Office, and this is where that group that was at the funeral made their way to after that funeral was over. They've been here for multiple nights now protesting the death of 17-year-old Hunter Brittain. Now, I did have the chance to catch up with some of Hunter's classmates who told me they wanted to remember how he was to them. They say he was a kind, well-liked young man who's just gone too soon.
Reality is really starting to hit now that we've seen it. We're here. And it's been rough. It's fresh. It's still new.
For the classmates of 17-year-old Hunter Brittain,
he sat beside me and I asked him what his name was. He said Hunter Brittain.
Today was never going to be easy.
Numb. I feel broken, confused, hurt, a little bit of everything. It feels unreal. I talked to him a couple days before it happened.
But they and over 200 others pushed through the pain. They say it's what Hunter would have wanted.
I don't think Hunter would have expected all these people to be here for him. I mean, he knew he had people that cared about him. He knew a lot of people loved him, but I don't think he would have expected all this.
For a community as small as this hurts. Brittain was set to graduate soon and was well liked. His classmates say hearing this shocked them.
We're all here for a reason, and whatever his reason was, he completed it, and he touched a lot of hearts doing it.
And now their reason reads as clear as the words on their shirts. Justice for Hunter.
I say that the criticism that he has today and will have forever is well justified for him, and that he needs the justice his family and his friends deserve for him.
I feel like having Al Sharpton come, Ben Crump, it's really showing that we're not going to stop until we get something. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to get justice for the boy we loved and we all cared about.
And while they can't do anything to bring Brittain back, his classmates say they can start making sure he's not forgotten.
I pray for him every day. I hope justice is served, because firing that cop isn't what he needs. He needs criminal justice.
You know, I think he'd be extremely proud of us for pushing him, because I know him. If he was here and something like this happened to someone he cared about, he wouldn't give up until he got justice. He'd keep fighting for it.
Right there. Now, one of those classmates told me that he didn't think any of this was real until he saw Hunter Brittain in his casket today. He told me that once he saw that happen, he just couldn't hold his emotions in. Reporting live at the Lonoke County Sheriff's Office, I'm Ian Russell, THV 11 News.
Thanks so much, Ian. Now we're turning to THV 11's Jordan Howington.
She is reporting tonight from that Beebe auditorium on the funeral service today. Jordan?
Hey, good evening, you guys. Yes, this auditorium was packed today with family and friends paying tribute to Hunter. And yes, Al Sharpton, two attorneys, prominent attorneys, joining in, speaking here, also seeking justice for Hunter Brittain.
Hunter Brittain, life matters.
Hunter Brittain's life matters. That's the words of a chant led by Ben Crump, a well-known civil rights attorney.
You're loved. Your family will not stop advocating until we have justice for you, Hunter.
Friends and family gathered to remember Hunter, who lawyers say is the unarmed 17-year-old who was shot and killed by Lonoke County Deputy Michael Davis during a traffic stop nearly 2 weeks ago. Reverend Al Sharpton flying in, showing his support while standing alongside the Brittains as they fight for answers.
Wrong is wrong whether you have on blue jeans or blue uniforms. Wrong is wrong is wrong is wrong.
We sat down exclusively with the family's lawyer, Ben Crump, who also represented George Floyd's family after he was murdered by the hands of Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. He said Tuesday is about remembering Hunter, while moving forward is about justice.
And it is shameful that he did not turn on his body camera video so we could see what happened. But it is more shameful that he killed an unarmed teenager. And as we often talk about, he had not identified a threat.
Crump's partner attorney Devin Jacobs says while they are working to contact Arkansas State Police, who's investigating Hunter's death, they are also working to file litigation.
Along with Ben Crump, and we'll file litigation pursuant to Civil Rights Act, and that will be for violations of the Fourth Amendment, for taking somebody's life using objectively unreasonable force. And we absolutely expect to hold this officer and frankly, this sheriff responsible as well.
And I had a moment to speak with Hunter's family today, who says his death did not seem real until today when they saw him laying in that casket. They say they still do not have answers, and they are hopeful that this team of lawyers will do just that, bring them answers and bring justice to Hunter.
After 17-year-old Hunter Brittain's family laid him to rest Tuesday, their team of lawyers now move forward to seek justice. They believe he was wrongfully killed after learning Hunter was unarmed.
The teen was shot and killed by a Lonoke County deputy 2 weeks ago today. THV 11's Jordan Howington spoke with the family's attorneys, who share what's next.
Although the Arkansas State Police is still investigating the incident that led to Hunter's death, the family's lawyers plan to fight hard to bring justice to them and Hunter. And although we did hear a little bit from them at Tuesday's funeral, they had much more to say about moving forward.
When we talk about George Floyd, life mattered. When we say Breonna Taylor, life mattered. We also have to say Hunter Brittain, life mattered.
Attorney Ben Crump has worked his way into the national Black Lives Matter movement. He's represented families like George Floyd's, who's lost a loved one to police brutality. But he now finds himself in small-town Arkansas, where he says the problem goes beyond skin color.
We all want our children to make it home and not be killed by the very people who are supposed to protect and serve them.
Crump expects a swift investigation as it remains in the hands of ASP. If not, he and his team will look to the Department of Justice to open up its own investigation. He plans to file a wrongful death lawsuit, but says without former Deputy Michael Davis's body camera footage that he failed to activate during the shooting, that will bring up critical issues.
Not only did he follow that policy, what other policies did he not follow? And it's going to be the crux of the matter. We believe that it is shameful.
Though the facts haven't been revealed.
We still don't have nothing. We're still worrying.
Hunter's family believes he was murdered after hearing the gruesome details from his friend who saw it all.
And these boys that know the story, they're not lying to me.
The facts are going to tell us everything that happened, and he should be charged to the greatest extent of the law, because justice will warrant it.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. Former Lonoke County Deputy Michael Davis is behind bars, charged with manslaughter.
Sergeant Davis shot and killed Lonoke County teen Hunter Brittain in June following a traffic stop. Brittain was unarmed when Davis shot him, and the deputy's body camera was not on during the shooting.
Jordan Howington joins us tonight. She has more on the charges announced in the case today. Jordan?
Hey, William. Marlisa, Polk County Prosecuting Attorney Jeff Phillips was appointed special prosecutor in this case to make sure it was investigated fairly. And after months of reviewing the case, today, while the teen's family and friends crammed the hearing room, Phillips announced Davis will face a manslaughter charge in the death of Hunter Brittain.
What I'm going to do now is read to you the affidavit that was presented to a judge this morning with an arrest warrant for Michael Davis.
The courtroom filled with 17-year-old Hunter Brittain's family and friends, now filled with shouting in relief.
And we're one step closer.
Former Lonoke County Deputy Michael Davis shot and killed Brittain in June. Brittain was working on his truck with a friend when Davis pulled him over. Court documents reveal Brittain got out of his truck to stop it from rolling backwards. Brittain reached into the back of the truck for a container. Davis says he gave several commands to the teen to get back in the truck before shooting him. However, Brittain's friend says he only heard a gunshot from the passenger seat. Friday, Special Prosecutor Jeff Phillips announced Sergeant Davis will face a manslaughter charge.
As Brittain began to bring his hands from the bed of the truck, he discharged his weapon one time towards Brittain. Davis says as he observed the bullet strike Brittain, a container came from Brittain's hands that originated from the bed of the truck. The container landed on the ground.
Phillips confirmed Brittain was unarmed. Davis was fired in June for not activating his body camera during the shooting. Friday, Davis turned himself in to state police, and now he'll spend the weekend in jail, something Brittain's family says is a step forward.
It's not a murder charge, but we can live with this. He made a mistake, and he's going to have to pay for it. We're happy that that's coming.
The Brittain's attorneys, Ben Crump and Devin Jacob, released a statement following today's announcement. It says in part, these charges are just a first step in the pursuit of justice for Hunter Brittain, whose life was tragically ended by the unjustified use of deadly force. We hope to see former Officer Davis held to the fullest extent of the law. The prominent civil rights attorneys will be standing by for a civil case later. For now, family members and supporters are keeping the focus on the criminal case.
I was heartbroken because I can't imagine his last minutes of his life.
Well, up next, a Monday morning bond hearing. That's when Davis will find out if he will remain in jail awaiting trial. Now, his lawyer, Robert Newcomb, told THV 11 today that this whole event has been a tragedy all the way around. And he doesn't think what his client did was criminal, but said that's why there will be a trial.
Jordan, thank you. This case has been on the hearts and minds of the community of Beebe. That's where Hunter went to school. People there have been calling for criminal charges for months, and THV 11's Ian Russell gets their reaction to the prosecutor's decision.
Earlier, Marlisa, signs like these aren't as common to see anymore, but the message behind them is still very common. Friends of Brittain say today's announcement is just another step in making sure Hunter gets justice.
So it really does go deeper than he was just a classmate or he was just a friend, you know?
The past couple months haven't been easy for the city of Beebe.
It hurts. It still hurts. I still feel empty about it a lot of times.
And for Nathan Waters, it's hit close to home. Hunter Brittain was his classmate, his teammate in football, and his cousin.
Countless sleepless nights where I couldn't sleep. I was thinking about him, praying we get justice. You know, there's been countless nights where I stayed up looking at the Facebook posts about it, the news interviews, and there's still days where it doesn't feel true.
But Friday's announcement that former Lonoke County Sheriff's Deputy Michael Davis had a warrant out for his arrest helps.
It hit me again. He really is gone. It hit me, that hit again, but it also hit that we got something. So it was kind of a bittersweet thing, you know?
On my way to meet Nathan, I saw this SUV. There's still paint on the back window that says Justice for Hunter. The owner of that SUV, salon owner Michelle Lawson, says the message has been on there since Hunter died, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
What if that was my kid? So you absolutely want to do everything you can to stand behind it.
Lawson has a 17-year-old son, the same age as Hunter was when he died. She says it's been difficult as a community to cope with this, but Friday's development is a start.
We're all pleased with that, you know, at least something is finally being done.
So while today isn't the end of the road,
I hope people know that when we said we weren't going to stay quiet, we meant it, you know, and I hope they realize that now.
Nathan says they have something headed towards justice.
We're getting what we needed. We're getting, and it's kind of giving us closure and stuff, you know, but, you know, I think we're all going to realize too in the end, no matter, we get our justice, but God will have his justice in the end too, and that will be the greatest justice of them all.
The former Lonoke County deputy accused of shooting and killing an unarmed teenager, pleading not guilty at his pretrial hearing today. Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Rolly Hoyt.
And I'm Marlisa Goldsmith. Michael Davis is charged with felony manslaughter in the death of 17-year-old Hunter Brittain. THV 11's Mercedes McKay joins us live from the courthouse with details on what comes next. Mercedes.
Rolly, Marlisa, Brittain's family tells me they weren't surprised by Davis's not guilty plea, but it still really hurt to hear those words. Now, not everyone was allowed inside the courtroom, but many of Hunter's friends and family stood outside holding signs and shouting justice for Hunter. The pretrial was quick and to the point, lasting only about 5 minutes. Davis pled not guilty and requested a trial by jury. Hunter Brittain's aunt, Mary Robertson, told me the only reason they've been getting through all of this is with support from the community. She says it's something Hunter would be amazed by.
He's being loved by millions and then isn't here to experience it.
A reminder, Davis was fired from the Lonoke County Sheriff's Office after it was discovered he did not turn his body camera on during the deadly encounter. He faces 3 to 10 years in prison if convicted. Next is a status hearing on January 24th. Then there will be another pretrial hearing before the jury trial begins on March 15th. That will all be right here at the Lonoke County Courthouse.
Trial of former Lonoke County Sheriff's Deputy Michael Davis officially began this afternoon. It's a case that's gained national attention and one that has greatly impacted the community of Lonoke. Davis accused of killing and shooting 17-year-old Hunter Brittain last summer. THV 11's Mercedes McKay spent the day inside the courtroom. Mercedes, things are moving pretty quickly there.
Marlisa, I just stepped out of the courtroom. Like you said, they are moving quickly, but just 15 minutes ago, testimony ended for the day. Now, the jury was shown what body camera footage is had in this case, but that footage only shows what happened after Brittain was shot. Now, certainly that was really emotional for witnesses and the Brittain family. Many of them actually had to leave the courtroom because they just couldn't stand to watch it anymore. But the day started with jury selection, which took about 4 hours. The jury was asked a series of questions related to law enforcement and their opinions. Ultimately, the 12 jurors were seated, 9 women and 3 men, and then after there was a short break. Now, opening arguments finally started at 2:30. They lasted about 45 minutes, and then the first witness was called to the stand. Now, the first witness was 16-year-old Jordan King. He was the one that was in the car with Brittain the early morning hours of June 23rd, where this all took place. Now, the biggest part of King's testimony is that he said he never heard any verbal cues from Davis until after Brittain was shot. Now, that was kind of the biggest part of this, is that those verbal cues only happened after Brittain was shot. Now, this will continue tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and the judge and some of the prosecutors and defense team are saying that this could end by Friday or it could go into Monday. So we'll be here every day breaking it all down for you. Again, it starts tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Testimony will continue.
The fate of former Lonoke County Sheriff's Deputy Michael Davis is now in the hands of a jury. Davis is accused of shooting and killing 17-year-old Hunter Brittain during a traffic stop last summer. He actually took the stand today as his trial continues in Cabot. THV 11's Mercedes McKay has been covering this trial for us from the very beginning and brings us a live update tonight. Mercedes.
Marlisa, we actually just got word that they are going to continue with deliberation tonight. They brought in an alternate juror for that one juror that had a medical emergency, and they're going to try to make that decision tonight. Now, we did go through a lot today, like you mentioned earlier. The biggest thing was that Michael Davis took the stand. The jury learned the character of Davis, that he's a volunteer firefighter, a father, and has 1 child on the way. He says Hunter's truck smoking and being loud, the time of day was early morning hours, not listening to his commands, and not being able to see both of Brittain's hands in the trucks were the reason he felt afraid for his life and thought Brittain was going to, quote, kill him. Davis got emotional multiple times during his testimony. Now, closing arguments lasted a little over an hour. The prosecution told the jury to look at the evidence, and if Davis was able to say, like he testified, to put your hands up to Brittain, then he had time to tell Brittain, I'm going to shoot you, which is what he was trained to do. The defense added the reasons why Davis was fearful for his life. Now, this really all comes down to, Marlisa, who the jury is going to believe, whether they believe Brittain's friends who were there and said they never heard commands from Davis before the shooting happened, or whether they are going to believe Davis, who testified that he told Brittain to go back into the truck and put your hands up. Now, like I said earlier, the jury is going into deliberation right now. Now, the judge says that she's going to give them about 2 hours and check back in with them and see if they want to continue, whether they've made a decision, or if they want to go into tomorrow.
I didn't say that this defendant was a bad guy. I didn't say he was a mean guy. I just said that he was a good guy that made a really horrible decision and choice. And so that makes it even worse.
A case that was difficult for everyone involved came to a close today. After 3 days of testimony, a jury has found former Lonoke County Sheriff's Deputy Michael Davis guilty of negligent homicide in the death of 17-year-old Hunter Brittain. Thanks so much for joining us tonight at 5. I'm Marlisa Goldsmith. THV 11's Mercedes McKay covered the trial for us all week and has reaction from both sides.
The jury reached their verdict in just 2.5 hours of deliberation. While everyone was quiet here in this makeshift courtroom in Cabot when they heard the decision, they had a lot to say when they exited the doors.
I was not happy. All I wanted from day one is for him to get a felony where he could not be in law enforcement again and carry a weapon. That's all I asked for.
It's been a long week at the Cabot Readiness Center for the Brittain family. By Friday, the jury found Davis guilty of negligent homicide, but not manslaughter. Something that worries Brittain's grandma, since this means he could go back to the badge.
Now what's going to happen? Are people going to have to fear for their life again? Once he gets back, because you know he'll go back to the force.
While the verdict isn't something they agree with, the Brittain family says they do accept it. The family's attorney, Devin Jacobs, says they aren't going to focus on the charges, but look at the meaning behind the jury's decision.
What the jury said is that a law enforcement officer in uniform committed a crime. And the jury has said that Hunter Brittain was unlawfully killed by Michael Davis. That's what this jury says. And that's a strong finding.
The jury also decided Davis's sentence, 1 year in jail and a $1,000 fine. Prosecuting attorney Jeff Phillips says the state is fine with the verdict, but the sentencing wasn't what they expected.
We were a bit surprised about the sentencing in that they were out about 20 minutes and came back with the maximum sentence.
Even though it's not the ending he wanted, defense attorney Robert Newcomb says juries often go with the lesser charge.
I was hoping for a not guilty verdict on both charges. I'll say I'm not necessarily surprised by that verdict.
No matter the side, it was a difficult week for everyone, but the Brittain family says this isn't the end of them telling Hunter's story.
He will be with us in our hearts, and I hope everybody will know that and see that as time goes on. And we're not going to forget about Hunter.
In Cabot, Mercedes McKay, THV 11 News.
Moving forward, both Brittain's family and Michael Davis will be involved in separate civil lawsuits against the Lonoke County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff John Staley released a statement today reading in part, "I respect the decision of the jury. As I said since day one, this was a tragic event and we all need to continue praying for those involved." It took less than a year for this case to play out. Here's the timeline of everything that's happened. Hunter Brittain was shot and killed on June 23, 2021. On July 1st, officials with the Lonoke County Sheriff's Office announced former Sergeant Michael Davis was fired for violating policy. After an investigation, a warrant was issued for Davis, and he turned himself in on September 17th. Davis was released on bail and went on to plead not guilty to felony manslaughter on November 15th.